Iran does not want war with the United States. They would lose. The American military is vastly superior. Aircraft carriers, stealth bombers, fifth-generation fighters, precision-guided munitions. In a conventional war, Iran's military would be destroyed in weeks. The regime knows this, but they also know something else. War is not binary. It is not peace or total conflict. There is a spectrum, a ladder, 7 stages of escalation. Each tier increases pressure on America without triggering the full-scale invasion that would end the Iranian regime. This is not chaos. This is calculation. This is the escalation ladder, and we are already on stage 4. This is the story of Iran's escalation strategy, the final investigation in our asymmetric power analysis. In our previous investigations, we showed you how Iran fights without matching American military strength through $20,000 drones that bankrupt expensive defenses. We revealed how Iran generates $40 billion annually despite comprehensive sanctions through ghost fleet operations and shadow banking. We exposed how Iran constrains U.S. policy through control of the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of global oil creates mutual destruction leverage. Now we show you the endgame, the escalation ladder, 7 stages designed to raise costs for America while staying below the invasion threshold. This is not about winning a war. This is about making war too expensive to fight. And the strategy is working. Educational analysis only, not financial or geopolitical advice. To understand the latter, you need to understand Iran's strategic dilemma. Iran is a regional power, 85 million people, GDP of roughly $600 billion, significant military capability for its region. But compared to the United States, there is no contest. America's defense budget is $800 billion annually, more than Iran's entire GDP. The U.S. has 11 aircraft carrier strike groups. Iran has none. America can project power globally. Iran struggles to project beyond its immediate neighbors. If the United States decided to invade Iran and commit fully, the outcome would not be in doubt. American air power would establish complete air superiority within days. B-2 stealth bombers would destroy Iran's air defenses, command centers, and critical infrastructure. Carrier-based strike aircraft would eliminate Iran's navy and coastal defenses. Cruise missiles launched from submarines would hit targets across the country simultaneously. Within 2 weeks, Iran's conventional military capability would be crippled. A ground invasion would follow if necessary. The regime would fall. Iran knows this. The leadership is not delusional. They understand conventional military inferiority. But they also understand something the United States learned in Iraq and Afghanistan. Winning the war is not the same as winning the peace. And starting the war is not the same as finishing it. America can destroy Iran's military. But at what cost? How many American casualties? How much treasure spent? How long an occupation? And most critically, what happens to oil prices, global trade, and the Middle East during the conflict? This is where the escalation ladder comes in. Iran cannot win a war, but they can make the war so costly that America chooses not to fight it. The ladder has 7 stages. Each stage raises the economic, political, and human cost of conflict for the United States and its allies. Each stage is carefully calibrated to inflict maximum pain while staying below the threshold that triggers full American invasion. The goal is not military victory. The goal is to reach a stage where America says, "This is not worth it. Let us negotiate." And negotiation from a position of escalated crisis is better than negotiation from weakness. The latter is not theoretical. It is doctrinal. It has been wargamed. It has been publicly discussed by Iranian military officials. And it is being implemented right now. We are on stage 4. Let me show you how we got here and where it goes next. Stage 1, proxy harassment. This is the baseline, the starting point. Iran does not directly attack American or allied assets. Instead, they use proxy forces. The Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iraqi militias. These groups receive weapons, training, and funding from Iran, but they operate with a degree of independence. This gives Iran plausible deniability. When Houthis attack ships in the Red Sea, Iran can claim it is not their decision. When Hezbollah fires rockets at Israel, Tehran can say they do not control Hezbollah's actions. The cost to Iran at stage 1 is minimal, perhaps $50 to $100 million annually to arm and fund the proxies. The weapons are cheap. Drones cost $20,000. Rockets cost a few thousand. Training is inexpensive. The return on investment is extraordinary. The Houthis alone have forced 60% of Red Sea shipping to reroute, tripling container costs and cutting Suez Canal revenue in half. Hezbollah ties down Israeli defense resources on the northern border. Iraqi militias launch drone attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria, forcing constant defensive operations. Stage 1 achieves several objectives. It harasses American allies. It raises costs for the United States. It demonstrates capability. And critically, it stays below the threshold that justifies a full military response. America conducts limited airstrikes in response, takes out a militia commander, destroys a weapons depot. But these are tactical responses, not strategic escalation. Stage 1 continues. We have been in Stage 1 for years. It is the default state. But when tensions rise, when the United States threatens serious action against Iran, such as strikes on nuclear facilities, Iran moves up the ladder. Stage 2. Limited direct strikes. At Stage 2, Iran stops hiding behind proxies for certain operations. They conduct direct but limited attacks. The key word is limited. Not full war. Controlled escalation. In 2019, Iran shot down a U.S. surveillance drone directly. This was Stage 2, not a proxy. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps admitted responsibility. The message: we can hit American assets directly if pushed. Another Stage 2 action was the 2019 attack on Saudi Arabia's Abqaiq oil processing facility. Drones and cruise missiles struck the facility, taking 5.7 million barrels per day of production offline temporarily. Iran did not officially claim responsibility, but the sophistication and trajectory of the attack made clear it was not the Houthis acting alone. This was Iran demonstrating precision strike capability against critical infrastructure. Stage 2 tests. American resolve. How does the U.S. respond to a direct Iranian attack? In 2019, President Trump considered military strikes, but ultimately declined. The cost-benefit calculation did not favor escalation. Destroying one drone did not justify starting a war. Damaging a Saudi facility, while serious, was met with sanctions and diplomatic pressure, not bombs. Iran learned the lesson. Limited direct strikes do not trigger invasion. They raise the stakes and demonstrate capability. Stage 2 also includes harassment of shipping by Iranian naval forces, fast attack boats swarming tankers, seizures of vessels, accidental encounters. These are not proxy actions. These are IRGC Navy operations, direct, but limited. Not sinking ships, not killing American sailors, just enough to raise insurance costs, create fear, and demonstrate control of the waters near Iran. Stage 3, Hormuz partial closure. We detailed the Hormuz choke point in our previous investigation. 21 million barrels of oil per day, 6-kilometer navigable lane. Iran can close it with mines, missiles, or swarm boats, but full closure is mutual destruction. Iran's own exports stop, so Stage 3 is partial closure, not total blockade, calibrated disruption. At Stage 3, Iran deploys naval mines in Hormuz, but does not hide the fact. They announce it. The strait is mined. Transit at your own risk. Insurance companies immediately void coverage for any ship entering the area. Even if only a few mines are actually deployed, the announcement is enough. Shipping companies will not risk a $300 million tanker and crew on the chance the mines are a bluff. Traffic drops 80 to 90% overnight. Alternatively, Stage 3 involves striking one tanker with a missile. A demonstration. The ship is damaged, not sunk. It blocks part of the lane. It creates a salvage crisis. And it proves Iran can and will hit ships if pushed. Other tankers turn back. The flow of oil drops from 21 million barrels per day to 4 million. Only the most risk-tolerant or desperate operators continue. Oil prices spike to $150 per barrel. Not the $250 of full closure, but enough to cause significant economic pain. Global stock markets drop 10%. Gasoline prices in the U.S. rise to $6 per gallon. Europe faces energy shortages. The pressure on the American president is immense. Do something. Clear the strait. Stop Iran. But clearing the strait requires minesweepers, naval operations, and likely airstrikes on Iranian coastal defenses. That is Stage 5 or 6. America is not ready to jump there. So the U.S. tries negotiation, calls for international coalitions, deploys more ships to the region, but does not invade. Stage 3 works. It raises the cost without triggering the response Iran cannot survive. Stage 4. Regional oil infrastructure strikes. Stage 4 expands the target set. Not just Hormuz, not just Iranian actions in Iranian waters. Stage 4 hits oil infrastructure across the region. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iraq, Kuwait. The goal is to take offline enough oil production that prices spike, even if Hormuz remains partially open. The 2019 Abqaiq attack was a preview, but Stage 4 would be sustained. Multiple facilities hit over weeks. Aramco processing plants, export terminals, pipelines, storage tanks. The attacks use drones and cruise missiles, precision strikes, not indiscriminate. The message is clear. We can cripple regional oil production whenever we choose. If Stage 4 is fully activated, 5 to 10 million barrels per day of production capacity could be taken offline, in addition to Hormuz disruptions. Total global disruption, 15 to 20 million barrels per day. That is 20% of global supply. Oil hits $200 per barrel. Gasoline in the U.S. reaches $8 to $9 per gallon. Airlines ground fleets, trucking stops. The global economy enters recession within weeks. And here's the key. The facilities being hit are not Iranian, they are Saudi, Emirati, American allies. The U.S. is now facing pressure from allies. Protect us, stop Iran. We are losing billions daily. But protecting scattered oil infrastructure across the Gulf region from drone and missile attacks is nearly impossible. The facilities are vast, the defenses are expensive, and Iran has hundreds of drones and missiles. The cost to attack is millions. The cost to defend is billions. Stage 4 forces America to choose: launch a full military campaign to destroy Iran's offensive capability, or negotiate an end to the attacks. And the longer Stage 4 continues, the more the global economy suffers, the more pressure builds on the U.S. to just end this. Stage 5, full Hormuz closure plus proxy surge. If America has not negotiated by Stage 4, Iran moves to Stage 5. This is severe escalation. Full closure of Hormuz, not partial, total. Naval mines across the entire shipping lane. Anti-ship missiles targeting any vessel attempting transit. Swarm boat attacks on commercial and military ships. The strait is closed. All 21 million barrels per day stop. Simultaneously, Iran activates all proxies at maximum intensity. Hezbollah in Lebanon launches 10,000 rockets and missiles at Israel in the first week, not harassment, saturation. The goal is to overwhelm Iron Dome, force Israel into a ground invasion of Lebanon, tie down Israeli forces in a multi-front war. Iraqi militias strike every U.S. base in Iraq and Syria with drones and rockets, dozens of attacks per day. American forces are forced into defensive positions. Casualties mount. The U.S. must either withdraw from Iraq or commit more troops to defend bases. Houthis intensify Red Sea attacks to blockade levels. Not just harassment. Dozens of anti-ship missiles per week targeting any vessel. The Red Sea becomes a no-go zone. Suez Canal traffic drops to zero. $2 trillion in annual trade is rerouted around Africa. Stage 5 is multi-front war without invasion. Iran has not invaded anyone, but they have created simultaneous crises in 4 locations: Hormuz, Lebanon, Iraq, and the Red Sea. The United States cannot respond effectively to all at once. Resources are stretched, allies are panicking. Oil prices are at $250 per barrel. The global economy is in free fall, and the American public is asking, why are we fighting a war that is destroying the economy over a country most people cannot find on a map? Stage 5 is designed to create unsustainable costs, not just financial, political. The pressure on the U.S. government to end the conflict, even through concessions, becomes overwhelming. Stage 6, ballistic missile campaign. If Stage 5 has not forced negotiation, Iran escalates to Stage 6. This is overt conventional war. Ballistic missiles launched at military and economic targets across the region. Saudi oil facilities, UAE ports, U.S. military bases, Israeli cities. The missiles are not nuclear. They carry conventional warheads. But they are numerous and accurate. Iran has a large ballistic missile inventory. Estimates range from 2,000 to 3,000 missiles. Not all are operational or accurate, but even a fraction is significant. Launching 100 missiles per day for a week creates 700 strikes. Even with interception rates of 50 to 70%, hundreds of missiles hit targets. Oil facilities burn, ports close, bases are damaged. Stage 6 forces the United States into a choice: accept ongoing missile strikes, which is politically untenable, or launch a massive air campaign to destroy Iran's missile capabilities, which requires striking hundreds of targets inside Iran, including command and control, missile production facilities, and launch sites. That air campaign is the beginning of full war. It crosses the threshold. But even at Stage 6, Iran has not used weapons of mass destruction. They have not invaded a neighbor. They have not attacked American territory directly. The escalation is severe, but still below total war, and the economic cost to the world is catastrophic. Every day, Stage 6 continues. Global GDP contracts. The pressure to negotiate, even from American allies, is immense. Stage 7, WMD threat and nuclear breakout. Stage 7 is the final rung. Iran announces nuclear weapons breakout. We have enough enriched uranium. We are building a bomb. It will be ready in weeks. This may or may not be true, but the announcement itself changes the calculation. Simultaneously, Iran threatens chemical or biological weapons use if the regime is threatened with collapse. If American forces invade, if the government is at risk, we will use everything. The threat is mutual destruction, not just economic, actual weapons of mass destruction in a regional war. Stage 7 is designed to make invasion unthinkable. Even if the U.S. believes it can destroy Iran's WMD capabilities with airstrikes, the risk that some capability survives and is used is too high. A nuclear weapon detonated in the Gulf, nerve gas released in a city, biological agents spreading. The consequences are unacceptable. Stage 7 forces the ultimate choice: accept a nuclear Iran and negotiate terms, or invade a country that may use WMD in its death throes. The cost of invasion at Stage 7 is not just military, it is existential for the region. The latter works because of American domestic politics and economic interdependence. The United States can destroy Iran militarily at any stage, but the cost increases with each rung. And cost is not just measured in dollars or casualties. It is measured in political will. At Stage 1, the cost is low. Airstrikes on proxy targets, sanctions, diplomatic pressure. The American public barely notices. But at Stage 4, with oil at $200 per barrel and the economy in recession, the public notices. At Stage 5, with multiple war fronts and rising casualties, the public demands an end. At Stage 6, with ballistic missiles hitting allies daily, the pressure to negotiate or escalate to invasion is immense. And at Stage 7, the risk is too high. Even hawkish politicians hesitate. Iran's strategy is to climb the ladder until America says, stop. Each stage is a negotiation move. Give us what we want, or we go to the next stage. What does Iran want? Sanctions relief, security guarantees, recognition of regional influence, acceptance of its nuclear program at some threshold. These are negotiable terms. But negotiating from Stage 1, when Iran has little leverage, gets worse terms than negotiating from Stage 4 or 5 when the global economy is in crisis. The paradox is that escalation is the de-escalation strategy. By making war more costly, Iran makes peace more attractive, and peace on terms favorable to Iran becomes the least bad option for America. We are currently at Stage 4. The evidence is clear. Houthi attacks in the Red Sea have been sustained for over a year. 60% of shipping rerouted. Container costs tripled. This is beyond Stage 1 harassment. Facilities in the region have been hit. Saudi infrastructure damaged in past attacks. The threat to Gulf oil production is active and credible. Hormuz has not been fully closed, so we are not at Stage 5. But the threat is explicit. Iranian officials have repeatedly stated that if Iran cannot export oil, no one in the region will. That is Stage 3 or 5 language. The groundwork is being laid. We are at Stage 4 because the costs are climbing, but invasion has not been triggered. Oil prices are elevated but not catastrophic. Shipping is disrupted but not stopped. The U.S. response has been limited airstrikes and increased naval presence, not invasion. Iran is testing the threshold, seeing how much cost America will tolerate before either negotiating or escalating to war. And so far, America has chosen to tolerate, because the alternative, full-scale war with Iran, is recognized as economically and politically unsustainable. The latter is working. Your energy costs are tied to the escalation ladder. Every stage Iran climbs, oil prices rise. Stage 1 adds $10 per barrel. Stage 3 adds $50. Stage 5 adds $150. You see this at the gas pump, at your heating bill, in electricity costs. The latter is not abstract. It is in your budget. Your investments are hostage to escalation. Stock markets react to each stage. Stage 4 moves trigger 10% drops. Stage 5 would crash markets 20 to 30%. Your retirement accounts, your 401k, are exposed to decisions made in Tehran about which rung to climb next. Your government is constrained. The United States cannot take decisive action against Iran's nuclear program or regional activities because of the latter. Each potential U.S. move is weighed against the risk of Iranian escalation. This constrains American foreign policy, limits options, and you live with the consequences of that constraint. We have mapped the escalation ladder, 7 stages from proxy harassment to WMD threats, each designed to raise costs without triggering invasion, each calibrated to maximize pressure while minimizing existential risk to the regime. The strategy is not chaos, it is doctrine, and it is working. So how do you know when Iran is climbing to the next stage? There are 3 signals to watch. Signal 1, Iran directly strikes a U.S. military base with acknowledged responsibility. Proxy attacks on bases happen regularly, but if Iran, not a militia, not the Houthis, but the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps or Iranian military directly strikes a U.S. base and admits it, that is Stage 2 transitioning to Stage 3. It is a test. Watch for Iranian official statements claiming responsibility for attacks on American assets. If they stop hiding behind proxies, escalation is active. Signal 2, naval mines discovered or announced in Strait of Hormuz. If a mine is found in Hormuz, or if Iran announces mine deployment, Stage 3 has begun. Even the announcement without actual deployment is enough to halt shipping. Watch maritime security reports and statements from Iranian naval commanders. Any mention of mining the strait is a direct escalation signal. Signal 3, multiple oil facilities in Saudi Arabia or UAE hit within 1 week. One facility hit can be explained as a one-off. Multiple facilities across different locations in a short time frame indicates Stage 4 activation. Watch for reports of drone or missile strikes on Gulf oil infrastructure. If 3 or more significant facilities are damaged in a 7-day period, sustained infrastructure campaign is started. That is Stage 4. Watch for these 3. 1 signal means preparation. 2 signals means escalation underway. 3 signals means the ladder is being climbed rapidly and stage 5 is approaching. This has been the investigation of Iran's escalation strategy. Our previous investigations showed you the tools, the $20,000 drones that bankrupt expensive defenses through cost asymmetry, the $40 billion annual revenue flowing despite sanctions through ghost fleets and shadow banking, the 21 million barrels per day through Hormuz creating geographic leverage through choke point control. Those were the capabilities. This investigation showed you the strategy, how the capabilities are deployed, not randomly, not chaotically, systematically, 7 stages, each raising the cost, each staying below the invasion threshold. The goal is not military victory. Iran cannot achieve that. The goal is to make war too expensive for America to fight. And if war becomes too expensive, negotiation becomes attractive. Negotiation from a position of crisis, with oil at $200 and the global economy in recession, gets better terms than negotiation from weakness. The escalation ladder is not about winning. It is about not losing. And not losing for Iran means survival of the regime. If climbing the ladder achieves that, if it forces America to accept Iranian terms rather than invade, then the ladder has worked. We are on stage 4. Proxy harassment has evolved into regional infrastructure threats. Hormuz is threatened but not closed. The costs are climbing. Oil prices elevated, shipping disrupted. But invasion has not been triggered. Iran is in the zone where pressure is high, but existential risk is manageable. And they are watching American responses carefully. How much cost will America tolerate? Where is the breaking point? The ladder will be climbed as far as necessary. If stage 4 achieves negotiation, it stops there. If not, stage 5. And so on. The doctrine is clear, the strategy is documented, and the execution is underway. Watch the signals, track the stages, and understand. Every rung climbed makes your life more expensive and the world more unstable. But for Iran, instability is leverage, and leverage is survival.